In this video, I'll show you how to set up a public and private key in Windows Terminal to use with Secure Shell. To install Windows Terminal, see the link in the description for a video that shows how, and some tips for using it. This demonstration assumes you have Windows Terminal installed and you have access to a Linux host, and assumes you know your way around both. I'll be accessing a Linux server on my local network. At both Windows and Linux, there are a few commands to enter, which I'll explain as we go. First, we begin at the Linux server. From Windows Terminal, secure shell to the Linux host. I'll enter ssh space William at 192.168.3.68. If this is the first time accessing this host, there is a message about authenticity of host can't be established. Answer yes to continue connecting. The host will be added to the known hosts file in the Windows SSH folder. Now I'll enter my password. Once logged in, you should be in your Linux home directory. There needs to be a directory named .ssh in the user home. This is where the key file is stored. So first check whether it already exists. .ssh is a hidden folder, so add the A option to ls. I also like the L option, so I can see permissions and ownership too. If you see .ssh, it's already there. If not, you need to make the directory. Enter mkdir space .ssh. Now list the directory again. Ensure ownership is set to you and permission is set to only the owner can read, write, and execute. Usually ownership is fine because it defaults to the user logged in. But to demonstrate, I'll set the owner again. chmod space William William space .ssh. We can see that the default permissions allow others to read and execute. To fix that, I'll enter chmod space 700 space .ssh and list the directory again. Now only me, the owner, can do anything in this directory. Linux is ready, but don't log out yet. We'll have more to do here in a minute. The next step is done at Windows. Open a new tab for Command Prompt. Before going further, there is something important to know. If you've already generated a private-public key pair, don't do it again. Well, unless you have a good reason to, like a security breach. Because if you make a new key file, any SSH you've already set up, in Windows Terminal or otherwise, then uses the new key. And that means anything set up with the old key no longer works. Just remember, the next step of generating a key file doesn't need to happen every time you add a new host, only the first time. So before we make a new key file, let's check if one already exists. If it does, you should find it in the .ssh folder under your Windows user folder. Open File Explorer, and in the address bar, enter %user profile %, and user profile is all one word. This opens your Windows user folder. Look for the subfolder .ssh. If it exists, look inside. The key file is normally named id_rsa.pub. If you find that file, skip the keygen step that comes next. You already have a key file. I don't have the file yet, only a known hosts file. So I'll create the key file. Leave this folder open. We'll need it again in a minute. Go back to Windows Terminal and the tab for Command Prompt. Enter ssh-keygen space -b space 4096. You are prompted to answer a few questions. First is enter file in which to save the key. Press enter to use the default location. The next question is enter passphrase. This step is optional, but recommended for better security. I'll use my user password. Use whatever you like. Or to skip, press enter. Then confirm the passphrase, or enter if none. And you're done. Assuming you have a typical Windows install, the key file is saved to c:users, your user folder, .ssh, id _rsa.pub. I still have the Windows SSH folder open. There is the file. Select it, then in the ribbon, click Home and Copy Path. Next, we need to send this file to our Linux host. At the command prompt, enter the command for secure copy, which is scp. Add a space, then paste the path to the key file that we copied a moment ago. Follow this with another space, and then the login command for the host. For me, William at 192.168.3.68. And last, add :/.ssh. This tells the scp command where on the Linux host to store the file. Tilde is the user home, then the subfolder .ssh. Note that Linux uses // for path separators, not backslashes like Windows. Double check that the command looks right, then press enter to execute it. You'll be prompted for the user password. Now the file should upload to the Linux host. If all goes well, the response should be the file name and 100%. Go back to the tab for the Linux host. Go into the Linux SSH directory. cd /.ssh. List the directory, and you should see the key file uploaded in the last step. There it is. Next, we'll append this file to another named authorized keys using the concatenate command. This way, we don't wipe out any existing authorized keys. If the file doesn't exist, it will be created. Enter cat space id _rsa.pub space 2 angle brackets space authorized _keys. Next, make sure you are the owner and permissions are exclusive to the owner. chown space William William space authorized _keys. chmod space 700 space authorized _keys. Now you can remove the key file uploaded. rm space id _rsa.pub. Log out of the Linux host, then log in again. Exit ssh space William at 192.168.3.68. This time, instead of asking for the user password, the prompt asks for the passphrase entered when making the key file, or not if the passphrase was skipped. And you're logged in with a private-public key pair. The last detail is optional, but a good measure for security. However, first make very sure the private-public key is working, because after this adjustment, you can't SSH using a password. No one can, or even try to. The reason it's better security. Only someone with the key file can get in through SSH. But if you screw up somehow, this can be undone, provided you have access to the actual server. Here's how to do it. You should still be logged in to the Linux host. To edit the ssh config file, enter the command sudo space nano space /etc/ssh/sshd_config. This opens the config file in nano. Use Ctrl-W, where is. Enter password auth. Yes, all one word. It appears a few times, but often in comments, which are lines that begin with a hash symbol. Ctrl-W again until it lands on the line password authentication, not in a comment. Set this to no to disable login with password, or yes to allow. Ctrl-O to save, then Ctrl-X to exit. Now restart the SSH server. Enter sudo space systemctl space restart space SSH. To test, open a new tab for command prompt. Let's try to log in as root, for example. Enter ssh space root at 192.168.3.68. And there it is, permission denied, because a public key is required. We've only added the key to your user home, not root. And using a password is disabled. This makes your Linux server more secure. If this solution works for you, like the video and subscribe to this channel. It keeps more videos coming.